Hi, my name is Sharlene Teo, and I'm here to introduce Mariamah Davey. She's been writing since she was 11 and has been publishing short stories in Wattpad for the past few years. So it's been a tremendous privilege to be able to mentor her this year and go and see her in Gainsborough. And she's really imaginative, really talented young writer. And I'm so excited to see what work she comes up with, as well as the other mentees that we've heard from tonight. So Mariamah's first novel, Afterlife, is about an immortal woman named Mary who journeys through time. It's a novel that evokes a strikingly imaginative textural world with a timeless love story at its center. It's both contemporary and fantastical. Please enjoy.
Hi, so I'm going to read an extract from my novel Afterlife. Mary hiked through the forest, minding her step through the falling autumn leaves. She pulled the dark hooded cloak tighter around her as a familiar breeze hit her once again. Brushing her hair back into her hood, she met eyes with Solomon. His eyes were so much brighter than her own, but then again, Creons usually did have bright yellow eyes, and Solomon was no exception. Mary ran her fingers through his dark fur. This would usually be declared a death wish, but Mary found comfort in the warmth and protection Solomon gave her. She pondered her next steps. She had recently learned of a group that called themselves the Cortex. Yet another force sworn to stop her. The Akuji was still her most feared enemy, though. So far, anyway. She had seen the danger the Akuji had caused her firsthand. Her thoughts flashed back to when her mother and her best friend, the ones she couldn't save. She laid eyes upon Solomon through a teary glaze and noticed his ears were perked up. It was almost as if his muscle mass grew slightly as he reared back onto his hind legs, ready to fight. Mary stood, deadly quiet. She knew Solomon. He had a keen sense for danger. She listened carefully, taking slow, steady breaths. A blood-curdling scream erupted in the forest. Solomon took off in a direction, leaving Mary for the dust. She chased the Creon, running as fast as her little legs could take her. When she finally caught up with him, she saw it standing there, silently, the Akuji. Its hood already lowered meant it already had an influencer inside. Yet the Akuji was never seen without its wooden mask. There was no hope for the prey, but that didn't mean Mary wouldn't try. She spotted the man bleeding against a tree. The Akuji had its undying attention on the man. He must be an influencer. The Akuji didn't hunt normal humans. He scrambled to his feet, crying and pleading. The Akuji didn't bat an eyelid. Solomon jumped towards it, latching onto its leg, great teeth burying into its flesh, yet no blood came from the Akuji. It lifted its leg and slammed Solomon against the tree, detaching him from it. Mary cried out to Solomon, yet there was no response. Although the Akuji's mouth couldn't be seen, the look in its blue eyes showed emotion. She didn't think the Akuji could feel emotion. It wasn't joy or anger or pain, but pain. She slowly, carefully approached the Akuji. This was foolish, but she knew this. The Akuji didn't move, it just watched her approach. Mary inches away from the Akuji, made eye contact and whispered hesitantly, "You feel?" It snarled under its mask as if the question repulsed it. Its eyes flashed and a swift hand swiped her across the face, knocking her back a few feet from the influencer. She fell back, knocking her head against a rock. Blood knotted her hair, and she scrambled to her feet. Holding her head, she watched in horror as yet another influencer became a victim to the Akuji. It sliced open the man's throat as he shook against the tree, desperately clenching to his fatal wound. The Akuji lifted him, threw him over its shoulder, and slammed him against the tree, impaling him onto a sharpened branch, and left him hanging, bleeding out onto the roots of the tree. Mary swallowed her sickness as she smelt the coppery tang of blood in the air. She crept over to Solomon, who seemed to be coming around. She gently stroked his head, which quivered in fear and pain. She looked back and saw the Yakuji watching her. She didn't understand why it had not tried to kill her. She was an influencer, yet it never hunted her. It had opportunities to kill her, yet it never did. She glanced back at the body that hung, dripping the last traces of life onto the ground. She watched as the leaves began to change. They turned the same colour as his blood. Mary stood, followed by the Akuji, followed by Solomon, and glanced back at the Akuji one last time. It had done its job. There was nothing she could do. She turned round and began walking, defeated once again. A trembling voice came from behind her. "Mary," it whimpered, "I'm sorry." Mary's eyes widened in shock. She turned and glared at him, glancing for anyone who could have possibly uttered her name. There was no one. Did the Akuji just speak her name?